Hey everyone, welcome back to the Rod Pod. I know it's been a while, but we're going to make it up to you guys with a very special episode. Um, I can't remember for how long, but it's probably been at least a year that this person has been on my heart to bring on to the show. We met, gosh, it's been almost 6 years
It might
probably
be, it
ago.
might be more than that.
Yeah, very likely more. Yeah, yes, you're right. We met in Colorado, so both serving at a great kids camp as volunteers, and it was during a very big year for me spiritually. And as I was growing and learning about new ways to be a believer and communicate with God, this person was very integral in that development phase of my faith. So without further ado, I'm introducing you to Stuart Brooks.
Hello
Welcome.
there. I'm Stuart.
Thank you for thank you for coming on with us.
Thank you for having me.
So did I have the timeline or the structure of our dynamic right?
I think so. It was probably 7 years because I think I knew you for about 2 years before I left. Maybe I don't know. Um,
We met at camp.
okay,
I'm
yeah, and
sure.
I've been
Yeah.
here for about five years and some change. Yeah, so
And where's that? Where is that exactly?
Minneapolis,
Minneapolis. That's right.
Minnesota. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So at what point do you want to start at the beginning of your faith journey, or do you want to walk backwards from now? How do you want to go?
Wow. Um,
Does your family have any influence on your faith journey as well?
Absolutely. I think that's a good beginning too, because my parents were both, and they're no longer missionaries, but they were missionaries for about 5 years in the Philippines, and that's where they had me. I was born in the Philippines, yeah, and I was there for about the first 3 years of my life. Um, Both my mom and my dad were very integral to my growth in becoming a Christian. Yeah, yeah. Um,
Very cool. And so you lived your first 3 years of life in the Philippines?
yes, I did. Um, yeah, my parents were teaching there. They were running a school of evangelism for Calvary Chapel. This was it back in the 90s, around 95, 94 or so.
So they were rubbing shoulders with Chuck Smith?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. No, they knew about, I mean, I think they even knew him personally. I don't know.
Oh well.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool. I grew when Anthony was an infant and toddler years. I always listened to him on the radio. I had a job where I was like delivering x-rays at the time, and so I remember listening to him and other Calvary Chapel pastors
Hmm.
um, during the same time that you were probably in the Philippines.
Yeah, it's kind of coming out of that Jesus movement, and yeah, no, my parents both got on board, and they sold everything they had, and they went to the Philippines. It's a crazy story. Yeah, yeah. But I was born there. It was the first 3 years of my life, and um, my parents sort of adopted. My mom says she adopted her as a sister, but her name was I call her Ate because that's what you call like an older sister in the Philippines, something along those lines. But
Okay.
Ate Renea, uh, she's special to me. Yeah, and she would take
Okay.
care of me when my parents were busy, and she was their translator as well. Um, yeah, I there was also a flood while I was there. uh,
Whoa.
yeah, the first 3 years of my life were a little bit wild. I got dengue fever. There was a flood, and this is a different time, but like obviously I survived dengue fever. Um,
Right.
but uh, they put me in. They had this cooler, and they put me in the cooler with our Chihuahua, and my dad kind of floated me because it was a serious flood. It was no joke. Yeah, uh,
Wow.
but we're alive.
Yeah.
It's a wild time.
So what happens when you guys leave the Philippines? Where do you go?
Um, well, my mom needed to give birth to my brother, who is just 2 years younger than me, and so they went to California to do that. And then immediately after California, kind of went back to the Philippines for a second, and then went to Colorado, and that's Hotchkiss, Colorado. Just really, I think it's a small town on the other side of the mountain somewhere. I actually don't even know where it is, but from there we moved
Mm.
to close to Denver, and then to Littleton, Inglewood, and all that. Um, yeah, moved around a bunch in Colorado as well. Yeah.
What were they doing after? Sorry, for work after once they moved back.
Well, I don't know. I was too young to know around that time. But
Gotcha.
my dad has had a great many jobs. He's worked at
Mm.
uh, selling cars. He worked at a car wash. He worked at Honey Baked Ham. He worked at Aflac. He worked,
Oh wow.
insurance. He worked at like a morgue selling burial plots. He's done everything. It's seriously. I don't know. He also like a closet design thing. Yeah, my dad's had more jobs than anybody I know. He's worked in a lot of fields. He's a hard worker too. Yeah.
So did any of their missionary experience or uh, did they carry any of that with them back to the states?
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my mom, um, she she has the ability to talk to just about anybody, and so evangelism could come up. They
Hmm.
they still know a little bit of Tagalog. My dad sings in Tagalog
That's
sometimes.
cool.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Man, and my mom sometimes when she's on a customer service call, she'll run into someone and she'll recognize the accent, and then she'll start speaking to them in Tagalog, and it's a great conversation starter. So stuff like that, yeah.
Mhm.
They weren't there for a very long time, but enough to have a little bit of something like that. Yeah.
So I would assume then that your knowledge of the word came directly from them
Yes, my
growing up.
dad taught eschatology, um,
Oh wow.
and my mom just generally knows the Bible. Yeah. Um, my mom was the one who told me the gospel when I was 4. Um, she she believes that I believed at that time. I believe that I believed at that time, but I think that on some level I don't understand. I didn't understand the depth of what it was I was saying I was believing. Um,
Hmm.
I don't think I was able to comprehend really what sin means and why someone would need to die for it. But I heard that that Jesus died for my sin, um, and I do suppose I believed that, and I believed that God existed. But I got a little bit off track along the way. Yeah, no, it wasn't just a smooth thing. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
I'm curious about
Mm,
that part of your journey.
mm.
What was going on in your life before you did have a deep understanding of sin and the gospel?
Oh man. Um, well, I grew up kind of a weird kid. Uh, as a sort of kid that would repeat things a lot, or say things that other people were aware you weren't supposed to say, but I wasn't. And I was just a little bit uh, goofy, and so I didn't have a lot of friends growing up through elementary school, and or I would I don't know. I didn't feel different, but it always felt like something was odd, or like I didn't fit in, and it seemed like everyone else, you know, um, like I yeah, girls didn't pay attention to me, stuff like that. Where it just like I felt a little odd, and I didn't really know what that meant, and so I um, at a certain point realized though that people liked it when I painted or did. And I didn't paint at that time, but like in fifth or sixth grade, I started sketching here and there, and people were like, "That's good," and so that made me feel good, and that made me want more of that. And essentially, I wrapped up my identity in that. Um, I didn't talk to God that much in those years, though. It's kind of a background thing, you know. When I was younger, though, the earliest time I can recall God, I would say, intervening in my life, I had this I had this dream, and it kept bothering me. I don't know. I must have been half asleep, half awake, but some kind of monster or something was tormenting me, and I called out, and a lion jumped on it and like ripped it to shreds, and that repeated 3 times. And this it's kind of I don't know. It's kind of weird, but that's probably the earliest thing I remember from my childhood, or at least that pertained to God. Um, but besides that, I was not a very spiritual person. In fact, I mean, wasn't a very personable person. I didn't care deeply about other people. Um, in fact, when I did things for other people, it was on some level for myself, um, for how they would see me. I was very concerned with that because I felt like people didn't see me in a good way. And so, like, I don't know. I didn't have any higher thought as to how I ought to live, really. Even though I was told, you know, how to be, you know, uh, kids can sometimes just not listen, particularly when it comes to that sort of thing. So I I had become a kind of proud child, um, and one that I don't know didn't like other people because I found out that other people didn't like me. I became more conscious of it when I shifted over to high school. And so I kind of turned outward and kind of just hated the world because it seemed like it didn't like me. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and
Can I
yeah,
just
go ahead. Yeah.
can I just give you like props because that's so amazing that I don't know if you recognized that was going on in high
Mm,
school. Um, but obviously you know what was going on now
mm,
as an adult. I'm amazed that you are able to recognize and articulate it that way because there are,
mm.
I personally know um grown like much older adults than us who are still stuck in that mindset.
Well, I don't think I can attribute it to myself because I think if it was up to me, I'd still be the exact same person, just a little bit older and a little, perhaps a little bit more sociopathic because I learned more how to do it. But yeah, luckily that's not what's happened. Yeah, I made some good friends. Um, just a few. It was the same thing in high school, but I kind of shut down and shut everybody out. But I found a close friend that was kind of the same thing for him. You know, um, I don't know if I should mention his name, but I love him.
You don't have
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
No, it's okay.
He's tattooed on my leg, and
Nice.
I'm on his leg. It,
That's cool.
yeah, yeah. Because after high school, um, he had become a tattoo artist, and I was an artist, and it seems like, well, how do you make money doing art? I don't know. I still don't know, and
Me
no,
neither.
it doesn't make sense. Yeah, yeah. But that seemed like a reasonable solution to that problem. He became a tattoo artist, and so I became a tattoo apprentice at the shop as well, and it was good. But um, I went through some things, you know. There's this girl that I liked, and but she didn't really see things the same way I did. We were together, um, sort of, but it just got weird, and uh, she went off to college, and I felt like super alone, and so um, around that point, I kind of gave in to some drugs. Um, my friends had been, trying to get me to try it for a while, and I was resisting, and then, I was sad, and I said whatever, um, and so I started doing that. I don't know how explicit you guys want me to be. I don't know what I'm.
No, it's as much as you want. I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
if you recall my story, but I too have had a past with the party scene in college,
Hmm.
and very much a part of my journey was trying my best to pull away from that, and
Yeah.
um, finding God in that process of trying to break habits, and um, that's what led me to the camp that where I met you.
Right
So
on, man.
um, it was really impactful for me to meet you at that time because unless people just never bring it up, fellow volunteers at that camp, you were like the only person that was you were the closest person to my own
Mm.
experience, and that mattered a lot to me. That um, someone that has gone through certain experiences, can fall so heavily in love with the Lord. So, yeah, as descriptive or undescriptive
Okay.
as you would
Well,
like.
yeah. I mean, I had started smoking weed every single day, and a lot of it. And this was just 1 year. It was like a 1 year thing, but
Mm,
like, and then some of my other friends invited me. Like, I ended up doing hallucinogens because they were there and they were doing it, and um, I I had a track record of giving into peer pressure quite a bit, um, and man, that was an escape for a little bit, you know, um, and it appealed to me, the sort of person that I am. Um, but there came a point that was rather dark involved with it around when I was 18. Um, I had just been fired from my tattooing apprenticeship. Uh, I believe I was 18, turning 19, pretty much the same month. Um, and they had asked me, so they tested me. They tested me to see if I was competitive enough. So they had this other guy that was going to be a tattoo apprentice that they were bringing in, and they asked me, well, um, if he finished before you did, would you be upset? I said no, and I guess I should have said yes, but yeah. So I was fired from the tattooing apprenticeship because it's a kind of competitive field. You kind of need to be.
mhm.
Um, but that next day, we had ended up doing some hallucinogens, my friend and I, and it was just kind of dark and different from the beginning. Um, yeah, and there were some aspects where some hard truths were hitting me, but not all the good stuff at once. It's like I got the bad half of the gospel, and yeah, I was sitting in my friend's backyard looking at my hands like this, and just wondering at the fact that I have two identical hands and they're symmetrical and they're at the ends of my arms. I was like, I feel like I just subconsciously was feeling like God existed. Um, I'm not sure what I was thinking because it's hard to remember that sort of thought. And I don't even remember most of this conversation, but it was with my friend, um, and I I only remember that I said I'm nothing like Jesus. And I had considered myself a Christian. I had called myself a Christian this whole time. I had done, I had acted, spoken uh, apologetics, at least for the existence of God. That was like the depth of my understanding was like God exists and you're wrong if you're atheist. Like I was just super hard headed in that sort of way, but I hadn't really grasped it because I was still sinning. Uh, I mean, still sin now, but you know what I mean. I was still willfully sinning um, with no thought to it at all. I was sneaky. I'd steal. I'd lie if I could get away with it, and I often did. And I hurt people. Um, yeah, I mean,
So what emotion was behind that? I'm nothing like Jesus.
oh man, it's hard to remember. I just remember the
Mm,
fact that I said those words. I'm nothing like Jesus. I mean, part of the emotion was like, man, I'm a fraud. Like I don't even
mm.
know what I believe. I've I was someone who lied about reading the Bible. Is that how weird is that? You know what I mean? To lie about having read the whole Bible just for pride's sake, to sound like you know what you're talking about. Um, man,
What during this time, what was the dynamic between you and the rest of your family?
huh. Well, they didn't exactly want me to be doing these things, but at the end of the day, on some level, it was like they couldn't really stop me. And so they just kind of had to love me, even though I was kind of a wreck. And I did lose my mind a little bit. I went a little cuckoo uh, for even 6 months after that last time. But
Hmm.
back to that last time because it's really it's the pivotal thing that happened
Yeah.
here. Um, Man, but my friend said he was like Stuart, but you're more like Jesus than anyone I know, and I just didn't buy it. Like maybe, but like I was seeing my sin for the first time, and I had been what's essentially a sociopath for like 19 years, and just realizing like, oh my gosh, like I actually don't care about people. Um, I hurt people, and I don't care. Um, I'm a liar. I'm a thief. Um, and that's rough. And that all just kind of landed on me. And then, you know, believe there was some heavy spiritual warfare um, that night. And it lasted longer than it normally did. The drugs, I mean. We did about, always trying to do more, to get further into that, you know, we're doing 3 times what is a reasonable amount and paid for it, And um, man, I started having these insane thoughts, um, like that it was the right thing to do to die, like that everybody should just give up because there's no point. Like that was just what I was feeling. I was feeling like, well, we're probably all gonna nuke ourselves anyway in the end. Like man, it was really dark, and I believe it was demonic. These thoughts that I was having, I was looking at. It's so odd because I should have known because I called myself a Christian, but that's not where I decided to look. Uh, this night that I was doing this, I stayed up all night, freaking out because I had this thought like, and I had said it to my friend. I said, I'm going to die tonight. And he ended up dropping me back off at my house because I was too crazy. He could, yeah, I don't know. And his girlfriend was coming over, and he can't have the crazy friend around. um, but he dropped me off, and man, I was freaking out all night. Um, and I was searching. I was looking at like Gandhi and those Buddhists that like burn themselves in protest. And like the logic was like, well, to give up things seemed to be the righteous thing. So what it was trying to make me feel was that I should give up everything, give up my life. It was making me think that the righteous thing to do was to die, which is so wrong. I can't even. But man, I mean, my brother was in the bunk above me asleep. My parents were next door in their room asleep. And I was just tweaking all night. It usually doesn't last that long, but I was losing my mind. And it was like going down. You've seen The Matrix? You know, when he
Yeah.
plugs in and zooming through that tunnel, it was like that. I mean, that's probably corny, but like, and it was like there was a bright light, but like I would each time it felt like I would like get close to that brink. It was like I think of somebody, where it's like, no, I need to tell somebody. I can't just like, okay, I think I need to back it up because maybe I'm not making sense, but like,
No, you're good.
yeah,
You're
I
good.
was.
Yeah, we're
Okay,
following.
I was trying to die. I didn't want to like do anything, that my parents would have to, I just wasn't trying to go there really, but I was trying to die, and that makes more sense to you when you're on acid, I guess.
Mhm.
But like, man, and so every time I would come to like what felt like the brink, um, I would think of somebody like a friend or my mom. It's like I need to tell them because I felt like it was right, and this is insane. But I literally felt like it was right, and it was the right thing to do. Um, and man, I stayed up until 6 in the morning. Um, this had started like 1 in the afternoon the day before. And I stayed up till 6 o'clock in the morning, and I got up and I mean, something kept trying to prevent me from telling my mom, making me think, oh, if you tell your mom, then if you tell anybody, you're just seeking what they see of you. It was like twisting this new revelation that I was having and making it seem like, no, you can't tell anybody because then you're just seeking for yourself. No, you just have to do it. It's really dark. And man, but I finally went through and I pushed through and I went and I talked to my mom. Um, she met me in the hall and she said, Stuart, you look like death. And man, I went and looked in the mirror and my eyes were completely bloodshot. My skin was more pale than I've ever seen and my knuckles were purple. Like I had really hurt myself somehow. There were moments that night where I don't remember falling asleep, but I would feel electric, and it felt like was coming in and out of like I can't remember much that happened, but like somehow I actually hurt myself. I don't know how, but I didn't do anything except whatever was happening in my nervous system and spiritually. And I finally, and I went back to my mom and I started trying to convince her of my delusion. I was like that sold on this demonic ideology. Like I was like, everybody, you need to know this. Like we just all need to give in. Like just let it go. And she wasn't having that because she's a sane human being, you know. She knows what's going on, and man, she was trying to convince me the other way. She was trying to tell me, you know, no, that's not the way it works, and it just wasn't working. She couldn't get through to me. But there came this moment where it looked like she got this idea in her eye, and she went over to her nightstand, and she grabbed a Bible. She pulled it up, and she pulled out Proverbs 14:12, which says, "There's a way which seems right to man, but its end is the way of death." And that kind of hit home.
Wow.
Because there was this way that was seeming right to me, and very clearly its end was the way of death. And that kind of just struck me. Wow, okay. I'm completely wrong. It told me all that in that one sentence, and it seemed right. And so that minute after that, my mom told me, she said, Jesus, or Stuart, Jesus already died for your sins. And that was when I heard that and really believed it. I think before that, I heard it a lot. My dad even taught Sunday school. He taught us in Sunday school. And for some reason, the gospel just never got through to me until that moment where I heard it. It was like, oh, I mean, here I am essentially trying to die for my own sins and believing that everyone should. And then my mom tells me, Jesus already did that. And so I felt suddenly the insanity of what I was doing. I don't need to do that. He already did that. Wow. Yeah. And I felt the love in that for the first time. The fact that he would take that on. Yeah. Yeah. And from that time, I mean, a lot changed very rapidly. I started eating up the Bible real fast. It was like 6 months. I just horked it down. Yeah.
How much time were you spending with friends after that?
Oh, what do you mean by that?
The same crowd of, or your friend that had dropped you off
I
that
spent
night.
time with him, but there was suddenly a distance between us. It took years for us to realize it, but it kept growing. So, I mean, that was hard for me, because I was closer with him than anybody else. We were like brothers. You know, he's stayed with us for a time as well. He lived in our house. And yeah, and I was always with him. I was with him probably more than I was with anyone in my family. Yeah, but that was hard. Yeah, no, we did spend time, but there were just these odd moments, and I was kind of going through cage stage, kind of, you know how young Christians can sometimes be so direct and
Yeah.
Somewhat insensitive. Yeah, and I had that combination for a little bit, and yeah, so it made those relationships hard all of a sudden. But I started helping out at Awanas, you know, the kids
Nice.
at the school or at the church, and then people kept telling me that I should help out at Camp Elam. That's where you and I met.
Were you living in Colorado at the time?
Yes. Yeah, I was. Okay. But it was up in Littleton. That was at Littleton Bible Chapel, a little or they had a little church plant called Orchard Bible Chapel or something along those lines. But they're kind of a Plymouth Brethren, yeah, something like Baptist kind of
Okay.
deal. But yeah, people kept telling me I should go to Camp Elam, go to Camp Elam. And it was from different sources. And I was like, man, okay. And then, and I was like putting it off. It was like, okay, yeah, I hear it, but I don't really want to. And then the director of the camp, Dan Faulkner, came directly to our church and gave a presentation. And he was saying, we
Mm.
still need males 18 years and older in order to help out. And I was like, well, man, I'm a male 18 years and older. And so I was like, all right, I'll do it. That's fine. The guy's going to come directly to my church and tell me about it. So,
Hmm.
yeah. And so I went and I really loved it. Yeah. And got to share the gospel a whole lot. Yeah. Yeah. It's good. Yeah.
And that's where you guys
Yes,
met.
it is. I
Okay.
think we met maybe my second or third year.
It was your
It was
second,
my second. Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah.
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 It was a special time. I don't know. Uh, I wouldn't
So
claim
this,
that
yeah, go ahead.
the year that I was there was like the most special, but it felt like it
It
for
felt
me
pretty
in
special.
terms of like, because I don't know, there was a couple of other young men there for their first time, and we all just got to know each
Yeah.
other, and then there was the legacy staff members that have had grown up there and stuff, and
Yeah.
like it just felt like we were integrated into that family
Yeah.
of believers of all. Yeah, we were like all the same age,
Yeah.
approximately. Yeah.
No, it was quite lovely. I mean, I did the gap year there. So
That's
I
right.
lived there
That's right.
for a whole
Yeah.
year. Even while the groups weren't going on, I was
Hmm.
there while it was in the mountains and there was snow on the ground and there was only 4 people there and I was one of them. And then it gave me a lot of time. We didn't have video games or anything, and so it
No.
gave me a lot of time to just uh, study. Um, and that's kind of when the foundation of um, my relationship with God, I believe, came about. Was
Mm.
being able to spend that time largely alone, and with nothing. When you don't have anything else to do, you you get a lot out of that if you're trying to. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep. I remember. Have you heard or read Wild at Heart
I have heard of
by
it.
John
Yeah,
Eldredge?
but I've never read it. Yeah.
So I started that book at the beginning of that summer,
Hmm.
and my mom and I are actually rereading it now for the pod, and we're gonna discuss it the first chapter soon. But um, the emphasis in that book, a large one, is getting back out in the wilderness in God's untouched nature,
Hmm.
seemingly untouched nature, to reconnect with Him, and like I was like, there's no better time for me to read this book than right now for the next three
Yeah.
months. It's
How's
just
that?
like there's nothing else to do out
Oh,
there
right. Yeah,
when
yeah,
there's
yeah,
when when you have downtime, but read
yeah,
and spend time with each other. So it was perfect timing.
yeah, yeah. It's good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Got a
just
lot of.
to expand on that.
I've met,
Are you one of the other counselors that uh, was branded with the elephant tattoo?
I almost was. I
Yeah,
was coming up with ideas, and it just never happened. I've got a bunch
yeah,
of tattoos, but I for some reason I never got it. I almost did though. Yeah.
yeah. I got I got one. It's like my souvenir from camp that I'll
Yeah,
always
all
have.
my close friends did get one, but I couldn't decide on what I wanted to do.
I remember
Yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
So, was there anything else major at camp that was impactful for you?
Man, there was a lot. Um,
How old were you, Stuart, at the time?
um, between the ages of 19, and I stayed there for about 4 years. So until I was about 23. Yeah. Um, yeah, off and on, but like the gap year, and then I was there during during the on seasons, and um, man, and what was impactful, man, we did the prayer meetings, and I was in a season of my life where I was taking everything very seriously, even to a point that maybe it was a little too serious sometimes, you know. Um, but it was because I was kind of it was kind of a rigid time in my life, and so I was hard on other people, and I shouldn't have been. But at the same time, I don't know. I felt like,
Hey,
huh?
Stuart, I wonder during I just as a because you would be considered like a new Christian,
Yeah,
right? During that time.
yeah,
So I wonder, like, because I remember feeling more rigid in my
yeah.
early years, and I think it was for me. I think it was because I was so afraid to going back into the world
Mm,
that it. So I the pendulum swung all the way, far right,
yeah.
I guess you would say, because I was so far. I was so afraid of going back. Do you think that's what maybe was going on with
That
you?
may have been part of it, but there's also in some scenarios, you look around you and it seems like you're reading if you're reading the Bible a lot and you're a young Christian, and then you look around and it's like, what is everyone doing? Like, I was taking things really serious, and part of it's probably what you were saying, but like I was like, we're here teaching children the gospel. Like, we should be like really serious about, and like, be telling it as much as we can, and um, and that's not necessarily wrong, but like I thought that some silliness was kind of a waste of time, and um, yeah, and that followed me for a couple years, and that was hard, but like finally breaking that and realizing like, well, I can live too. Like, it's okay to go watch a movie maybe with your friends. You don't have to fill up all your time. Like,
Right.
on some level, the rubber meets the road when it comes to love. So like, you don't just love entirely cut off. Um,
Mm.
I don't. I think there's a place for monasticism. I think that seeking God by by oneself is something worthy of commitment for some people. Um, but I think on some level, like for me, um, I don't know. It just may be a little self-absorbed in some ways in that season, and feeling like, why isn't everybody really, really listening, or really looking at the Bible and really taking this seriously? And maybe they were, and maybe I was just a little bit too. Uh, I don't know. I
I
don't know what
wonder.
to say about that, huh?
I wonder if sometimes I think, and this is just from, I'm not projecting this on you, just personal experience. I think sometimes for me, like I
Hmm.
judge other people that they're not they're not taking it serious enough, like you were
Yeah,
saying, and that they're worried about trivial things that,
yeah,
and so just I guess the word is judging,
yes,
and I was stuck in that for a very long
yeah,
time, and
yeah. That was where I was at. Um, from there, though, I mean, at the church that a lot of us at Camp Elam were going to, the worship pastor was going to go and plant a church in Minneapolis, or not Minneapolis, but St. Paul. Basically, they're right next to each other. Um, but he, so he was getting it together, and I don't know. I heard about that, and I felt called, but I didn't have any money, um, and so I had been praying about that and praying about that, and then um, I decided to kind of do the opposite thing of what makes sense. And because I had read this book, Agape Leadership. That was one of the books floating around a lot in the Camp Elam circle. And that book's about a man named Robert Chapman, really loving guy, but he was a pastor. But he would sometimes give away his money, even when it was the only money he had for a train ticket where he needed to get somewhere. And he'd give it away, and his friends would get mad at him. They're like, "What is wrong with you? Like, stop doing this." Or they'd ask him, like, where'd the money go? Because they would give him the money for the train, and then he'd give it away. I'm not necessarily endorsing that, but like, it kind of struck me at the time, like, if God wants me to go, I can show that I believe that, like that He's in control of that. If I just, I don't know, even if I give the money, He'll make a way if He wants me to go. And I gave it, and I ended up receiving more that week from two different people. And,
Wow.
it felt like I was supposed to go, and so I did. And yeah, it was planting a church called Vertical Church. Yeah, yeah. In
So you were part of that church plant?
Yes, I was. Yeah, I wouldn't say a huge part. I was just a guy. I didn't have any official position. I was just Stuart, and I was I don't know. Yeah, not even a deacon, but I was just I was there, and I lifted some stuff and did stuff.
Sure. I'm here to help out, move some chairs.
Something like that. Yeah.
I think every church plant needs a steward.
Well, there was quite,
be an official position.
there were quite a few of us. Well, when I say that, I mean there were somewhere between 20 and 50 people, probably 15 from Colorado, and then other people gathering on. And so yeah, it was an interesting experience as well.
Mm-hmm. Can you break down a little bit more? So you felt called to go out there. What was going on with your relationship with God, particularly in this time?
Well, I was dealing with the concept where it's like, this was another thing that I think young Christians or early Christians get into or, deal with, is that, I was dealing with the fact that sometimes I would I would pray to God, and it would seem like I received an answer, and I would be like testing and looking for signs. And at a certain point, I don't know. I thought I received a sign that something was going this way, and then it didn't. And like, I just started to I wasn't in that stage for very long, but it was like, I was realizing that, I don't know. God may speak audibly to some people, and sometimes maybe He speaks audibly to me. But it seemed like I was looking for that too much. Like I wanted answers, and I was looking for them everywhere, and like asking for tests and this and that, and it was getting me kind of confused. And so I don't know. That's part of what I was dealing with. I was also taking certain verses rather literally, and like losing all my money because of it. Because it's like, it says, "Give to him who asks of you, and do not turn away." Like, and then they just came out of the woodwork, people asking, and I didn't have money to give, man. When I moved to St. Paul, I was working at Chick-fil-A, and
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
it was like it was $11.25 an hour.
Whoa.
I could not have afforded to be giving. So I don't necessarily condone it, and yet at the same time, I don't necessarily regret it. That was an interesting time. Uh, yeah, I and
Were you working the cashier at
yeah, but I
Chick-fil-A?
was also doing
Wow.
deliveries for something
Okay.
called Foodsby. Yeah, um, but yeah, um,
Hey, I'm Stuart. I'm sorry. I don't mean to
yeah.
interrupt. I'm going to have to step
Oh,
away.
okay,
Uh, but I would love to continue this conversation with you.
yeah.
I'm loving every bit of your
Oh, right
story.
on. Okay,
So
thank you.
I'm, and we call him brother. So brother's going to continue
All
with you.
right,
Okay.
brother.
It
Continue.
was nice meeting you.
Okay, nice to meet you. Yeah, it's good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So yeah, we have 10 minutes. So yeah, there's so much that I want to get into with you.
Yeah, man.
Um, so for this first up with you, just focusing on yeah, that initial turning point for you and kind of the aftermath of that in the years to
Hmm.
follow. Um, is there any more steps left in that phase of your early faith?
I think there's something important to say because there
Yeah.
was a moment when I thought that doing art was wrong because I read one of the Ten Commandments and got really scared and stopped doing.
Which one?
The second one: do not make an image of anything on in heaven or on earth.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I was like, oh man, I've been making images, and so I thought that art was idolatry for like a moment, and I was
Oh gosh.
scared. I was like, oh no, what am I doing? But then I read a book by what's his name, Francis Schaeffer. It's called Art in the
Okay.
Bible. He talks about how they made cherubim and put them on the um, in the temple for one, and then
Hmm.
on the Ark of the Covenant as well, and pomegranates, and these are things that are on in heaven and on earth that they were making images of, and so it made me rethink. Luckily, because I really liked doing art, um, and um, so it made me. I realized that you can do art in a way that glorifies God. Um,
Yes.
and that's been a big thing for me. Yeah,
Hmm.
um, yeah, and man, beyond that, I mean, God's just he's had to work on me in a lot of different ways. Um, you know, suffering loss and wondering where He is in that. Um, there was this person that I really cared about, and I mean, we were together for a little, just a little bit, but I got really excited because I thought that this person was really really the one, and I got
Hmm.
I was trying to get a ring and whatnot, and but again I was poor, and her family, kind of I was like, I don't think so. But like, yeah, fair enough, honestly, but like, um, yeah, and I was really torn up for about 2 years after that, and a lot more than I should have been. Like I took it so to heart, um, and I would feel so depressed. When I'd see one bird in the sky, my heart would say to me, "That's you." And if I saw two birds in the sky, my
Wow.
heart would peg me about that too. Like it felt
Mm.
like my heart was just against me, and I didn't
Mm.
know. Um, I thought I was maybe still crazy. That was something that there's a big question. Like, man, I did all those things, and so maybe I'm still crazy. Maybe I like. And the thinking that God was talking to me through symbols and signs, that wasn't good evidence. And so it was just like this big thing where it's like, man, have I lost my mind? Do I know what's going on? Um, like my own mind is always attacking me. Um, but man, this is a big thing. C.S. Lewis, his book Paralandra, was one of the things which actually snapped me out of it. There's this scene where the main character, Dr. Ransom, well, no, not Dr. Ransom. The character that's supposed to kind of be C.S. Lewis is walking to Dr. Ransom's house, and there's all this stuff like creepy trees and whatnot, and this fear that's setting on him that seems unreasonable. And it's like trying to get him to turn back. Don't go to his house, and this and that. I mean, it was spiritual warfare.
Mm.
When he finally gets to Dr. Ransom's house, essentially Dr. Ransom says, I knew that they would give you, essentially he says, I knew that they would give you trouble, but I felt like you would make it over here. And so it like kind of sets this up where it's like there's this spiritual thing going on. That book helped me to see, it kind of helped me to understand what it means in Ephesians 6, where it's talking about the armor of God, right? It says to when it talks about the fiery arrows. Like I never thought about what the fiery arrows are, that we deflect with the shield of faith.
Mm-hmm.
So, what does that mean? What are the arrows that I'm getting pegged with? At that time, it was these thoughts that were coming into my head that were against me. And this Paralandra, it helped me realize like, oh, the enemy can kind of place little suggestions from the outside. And I would hear that, and I would when you hear the lies and you believe them, that's a problem. But it's interesting that it's the shield of faith. Faith in what, and I might have that faith, but I realized then that there's an action involved with blocking. Like you use your faith to block these lies. And I'm not saying that these lies that I'm talking about are the only thing that the fiery darts can be. But in my life, like how else is the devil really affecting me except for this stream of temptation or thoughts that are wicked or against myself or puffing me up or this or that. And if I buy those, they can become my habitual they can become me really speaking inside myself. But yeah, realizing that I maybe actually had to do some fighting in spiritual warfare.
Dude,
like
that is,
but like,
that's so simple yet so, I love that.
this is like,
Because, I mean, you're right. Like, it's not, the shield isn't armor that you just wear and it's there. It's just what's it called? A stagnant covering. Yeah, it's a tool that you have to maneuver, right?
Yeah.
Intentionally.
Yeah, if you got the shield just hanging there at your side and I'm just getting pegged with arrows and I'm like, what's going on?
Just like, because you're holding that shield, you're holding that faith.
Yeah.
You still have to decide to hold it up, right?
So what that really looked like was remembering what I really believe. No, you're not alone. God is with you. Stuff like that, where it's like remembering the truth and then deciding to like believe it. Like there's an active belief where I can believe that God is always with me. But in that moment where I'm feeling lonely and I think that no one cares, in some sense, I'm not actively believing that. So that was a big deal for me. That was the difference between feeling, really miserable and kind of starting to feel free. I had always been afraid of dancing, even though I wanted to do it more than anything. You remember that? I mean, at Camp Elam, there's like a swing dance, and I just stand on the side, and everyone would be like, "Come on!" Like, but I was like, I physically couldn't do it. But after this sort of revelation and these thoughts and whatnot, um, I went swing dancing. And yeah, I was terrified. And like the first time I only danced with two girls and badly. I like twirled them once and I had said sorry. But like I kept coming back. I kept dancing for about 6 hours each time, once a
Wow.
week. I got good at dancing. And then I
Nice.
also it just made me more free in all my areas. I had been going to I started going to college at Bethlehem College and Seminary, and so they were having me go up in front of the class and do poetry and do debates and all stuff like that. And I decided to kind of lean into it, and that's been very helpful for me as well.
Hmm.
Yeah, so God's been preparing me for some stuff, and I don't know what's going on, but like. Uh, I don't know. I'm learning, and um, I'm finding God to be, and Christ specifically, to be this center of all reality in all the world's story. Uh, yeah, and there's a whole lot to talk about there,
Beautiful.
but
Oh
I'm out
my
of time,
gosh, dude. Yeah,
maybe.
I mean, yeah, there's guys for those that are listening and watching. I am so excited to continue talking with you, Stuart, because it just even when I left camp, I was like, I knew when I said goodbye to you, I was like, I need to talk to him
Mm.
again before the end of my before the end of my life. I'm like, I can't not talk to him again ever. And it's been so great. I mean,
That's so sweet.
I'm also I said this in our call. I'm also particularly like an actual fan of yours. Your I bought one of your first
Yeah,
prints.
thank you.
What was the title again? You'll have to
The
remind
Green
me.
Roofed Tower, or the title of
Green Roof Tower.
the title of the Etsy, or the of the page.
Well, I mean, yeah, you're welcome to plug that too, but the painting itself, the
Yeah,
print,
that was the Green Roof Tower. That's the name of
the
the
Green Roof
that's the name
Tower.
of the fantasy book. So that
That's
writing.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. That you're currently writing still?
Yes, I'm on the
Okay.
23rd chapter writing it. Yeah,
Of how many?
I'm aiming at 33, and I'm gonna try and finish
All
it this
right.
year. I've been in school for the last
Well,
5 years, and so it's been
uh-huh.
just dead progress. But
Yeah.
it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I'll reiterate. I mean that when you posted that, I was like, it
that
just
painting.
that. I mean, that was also something that we bonded over back in camp. Just your style, even back then and versus now, there's been so much growth in your style, and I know you have a lot to say about your style right now, which that in itself is another episode.
Yeah.
But it's of your writing, of your artistry, everything. Such a big fan. There's so many layers to you even now. You're a new father now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's pretty.
that's how's that been?
Oh, it's lovely. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and
It's a lot,
and we
but it's
talked.
lovely.
Yeah, we were when we called. That was like just before you had
Yeah.
your
Now
yeah.
she's almost 7 weeks.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm
It's
in love with
amazing.
her. It's really cool. Yeah.
So there's so much to get into
Mhm.
in the coming episodes. If you're free in the future, in the near future, because I want to get into uh, your theological turn.
Mm. Yeah.
Uh, as the last couple of years, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Um, how you met your amazing
Mhm.
wife, that one's
Yes.
huge. But also just art in general, and there's a couple of nerd things for us to sort
Oh
through as
yeah.
well,
Uh,
right? Do you want to give them a little sneak
yeah,
peek
yeah.
at
Some
what we're
Lord of
doing?
the Rings thoughts, and I don't know. I'm into the philosophy of beauty and how that relates
Mhm.
to God being goodness. That He is the definition of goodness and beauty and truth. These are things that Christians have understood for a long time. Um,
Mhm.
I'm just obsessed with that. That God draws us to Himself, and that He beams from himself, from his radiance, are all throughout the world in goodness and
Mhm.
beauty and truth. And that's a lot of what the book's about, and that's a lot of what I'm about. Yeah, everything
I love it.
pointing to Christ, and specifically Christ, is one thing that
Mhm.
I want to say. Yeah, I want to
That's
demonstrate
awesome.
Him, and my little project is called Sowing Wonder. Uh, that's what the Etsy's called too. But like,
Mhm.
um, because I want for Christians specifically, and all the world really, to be re-enchanted with reality, not just with the stories in reality, but like realize where we are. Like this is not a normal thing. Like
Mhm.
we've passed it off, and it's. Um, I think we've forgotten where we come from. This is
Mm.
a strange place. Yeah,
Mhm.
and there's a lot to say about that. But yeah, the
Yeah.
world is colorful and bold, and Christ is at the center of it.
Amen,
Yeah.
dude. If you could define if this the first few chapters of your story, what would you title it?
Title it. Huh. Title it.
Would it have to be a sentence kind of title, or
I'm trying to think
would
of
there be
some
a one
short
word?
poetic thing. Drawn out of oneself.
Drawn out of
Yeah.
oneself. That's great. For the audio listeners, you got to switch over to video because that just watching the gears turn, that was amazing. You take it very seriously, and I love that about
I was
you.
afraid I wouldn't
Um,
come up with something. I would just be sitting there for 2 minutes.
no, I was willing to sit for 2 minutes, 10 minutes.
All right. Anyway, thanks
Um,
for asking.
that was
That's a cool
great. That
question.
was that was so great. So I will. So we're gonna give you. I mean, we did say your Etsy. The shout out to your Etsy at what was it? Sowing
Sowing
Wonder.
like seeds.
Sowing.
Sowingwonder.etsy.com. Yeah.
Okay. And then was there anything
There's
else
a
that you wanted to
there's
note?
an Instagram by the same name, Sowing Wonder. And
Yes.
then I also have another one that's tower.odyssey, and that's where I'm usually talking about my art or about Christianity, um, and art about Christianity, and the book, and
That's great.
all things. Yeah.
I love it. Okay. Well, I'm gonna close this out,
All right.
folks. Thank you once again for tuning in. Such a special episode. I know I say that for every single one, but I feel so deeply about this man of God, this brother in Christ. You were genuinely a huge impact in my life, just even for the 3 months that we had time together back in Colorado in 2018.
You've
Um,
always been a warm guy.
oh, thank
You've
you.
always made me smile. Yeah, I think you
Thank
make
you.
a
Thank
lot
you.
of people smile.
I hope so. I hope so. So we will definitely be speaking again because there's a lot. There's a lot I want to pick your brain about. So thank you once again, folks.